Why is that the case?
It's called a statistic.
Are you trying to say the termination of blacks in the womb lower crime? You know blacks have 45% of the Is it not Black Lives Matter, or is it African American Lives Matter? Affirmative action is lowering of tests, standards, and quota for a quota. Malcolm X warned against white liberals owning black America for their own gain.
Welcome back to RattlesnakeTV, guys. In this video, we're going to be watching Charlie Kirk take on a few very obnoxious students at a university.
It's called a statistic.
This one's very entertaining, but also a lot of subtext here to go through. So you guys are going to enjoy this. And with that, let's get into the clips.
Okay, so one thing I want to start off with is, why does your opinion trump over any other people's opinion?
Right, so do you believe that there is a truth out there?
Everything is subjective, but there is a right or wrong morally, especially when you're in a cultured society that is based off a set of standards and norms that we act on and we act as.
So everything is subjective. So is it objectively true you and I are having a conversation right now?
Yes.
So that's not subjective then. So not everything is subjective.
So why do you believe morals?
Okay. Right, so something is objective.
Yes, but why do you believe your subjective opinion trumps over other people's opinion?
Well, let me ask you another question. I'll tell you, I will answer.
Please don't interrupt me. You can, nope, let me finish my sentence. I do not want to hear it. You think that your opinion is over other people's opinions. You think you were right subjectively.
Okay.
What is right or wrong?
Okay, is murder wrong?
Yes, of course.
Well, then abortion should be illegal. Answer to question.
What constitutes a human? What is a human?
Deoxyribonucleic acid and conception.
But to me, a human would be someone with a consciousness who is alive in this world.
Well,
to
guess
you,
what? You're wrong. So
but
that's
no,
fine.
you're wrong, because I think that's right and you think that's right.
Prove it wrong.
What constitutes a human being? What is the definition of a human being?
The creation of DNA that will never exist again, and a soul goes into that moment. I don't expect you guys.
What's a soul?
A soul?
What's a soul?
No, maybe not. What is a soul?
What is a soul?
The eternal, indistinguishable, let's just say, non-visible being of your existence.
But I don't believe that. I don't believe anything is eternal.
Sorry, you don't believe it.
But does not make yours okay?
Yeah, your opinion isn't over
Here's the thing. At some point, somebody's truth has to win. Because guess what? Your truth doesn't matter. That's still a truth
You've had
claim.
your truth in this country for the past thousands of decades.
Thousands of decades?
Not thousands. Whatever. My bad. That's all embarrassing. But your truth has been the narrative of this country forever. And you think
Roe
yes,
versus
the
Wade
white
just
straight
got
male
repealed.
truth.
Abortion was legal in this country for 40 years.
And before the 40 years, what was
And
it?
crime dropped
Thankfully
40% after it
And
went.
on top of that, do you
Oh, wait, hold on. Do you think abortion lowers crime rates?
Crime dropped 40% after abortion became legal.
Why is that the case?
It's called a statistic.
Who has the most abortions in America?
Women.
Black people. Is that
Black
so? Are you
women.
trying to say the termination of blacks in the womb lower crime? That's a very racist argument.
Okay.
You know blacks have 45% of
I would suggest using African American.
blacks. Okay. What? You guys can come up and talk if you want.
Nah, you're just a bit.
Yeah, it's like 95 degrees out here, man. So, yes, sir.
That's a racist. Okay.
No, you're the racist. You're the says that abortion lowers crime rates and blacks have the most abortions in the
I don't
country.
believe it's
Yes.
racist. I believe it's subjective.
Not name calling. Wait, is it not Black Lives Matter or is it African American Lives Matter? It's both. Oh, really? Okay, I thought it was BLM, so I say blacks. Okay.
Yes, blacks. Black History Month. Black Lives Matter. HBCUs are historically black colleges and universities. White privilege, white silence is violence, white fragility. Talk about rules for thee, but not for me. But I mean, at the very least, guys, and I'm being charitable here, we can give some respect for the young lady for trying to have a conversation. Can appreciate that, but I do wonder to myself why it is that young people in the modern world have absolutely zero idea how to engage in dialogue. And why isn't it the utmost priority of the education systems to foster these skills? And I definitely can't judge, because when I was 20, 21, I was just as retarded as them. But it's not like after all of the trial and error that we've done throughout human history, we don't know what it is that makes people thrive. It's things like practical skills, being able to work with your hands and being able to build the world around you. Intellectual skills like being able to communicate effectively, being able to tell stories, being able to engage in a logical debate, understanding philosophy, active listening, etc. And also financial skills. Those are probably the most important. So why is it that we see college kids who are terrible at all of those things. I mean, somebody who dropped out of school at 15 years old and got a plumbing apprenticeship and now is a full-time plumber is providing so much more value to the world than any of these guys are probably ever going to provide. And it makes you wonder, are these simpletons being created intentionally? And when you take a step back and you look at the entire thing, and I'm interested to know what you guys think about this below. If we just did a restructure of everything, could we be producing intelligent and competent young people that will bring value to the world rather than trans, non-binary, social justice warrior queer selves that will go out and make everything a lot worse? China does it, why can't we? So on to the next part. What I really want to focus on with this bit is the victim mindset that is on full display here. In the year 2100, when they look back and analyze this moment in history, they will probably put this clip under the microscope and analyze the sociological mind virus of wokeness. And they would see how those infected by the virus would actually have visceral and physical reactions to the slightest of triggers. Let's get into it and then we'll analyze after.
He was just, okay, not too much, Andrew. Do you believe that you have some sort of privilege that skews your view on other people's lives? Because personally, I don't believe you could step in my shoes as a black woman and relate and understand the things. So I feel like it's not fair for you to choose what I get to do with my life because I'm a black woman in a white society.
What does being black have to do with truth?
Because there are different things that we experience,
Like what?
and my truth might not be like
What, you get into college easier than I do?
What?
Affirmative action.
Yes, you get jobs and internships that white kids don't get.
Oh, poor,
You
we're
have,
poor white people.
you have entire movements dedicated to your race.
We're so like,
Okay. You're right.
oh, that's fucking
So, do you not believe in racism?
Of course racism exists. The Democrat Party is still alive and well.
Do you think people are racist against white people?
All the time. All the time.
That's his definition.
Affirmative action is racism against white people. Yes.
And Asians as well.
And Asians, that's right.
So I do have a question in that sense. If affirmative action is racism, why are most colleges predominantly white?
Why are they most predominantly white?
Why are most colleges, public colleges, are predominantly white? I'm not talking to you.
We're a
okay?
majority white country. You realize that, right? So colleges are the depiction of the nation.
Okay.
And actually, blacks on campus are disproportionate more than their population in certain areas, in certain campuses, than their population. Because of affirmative action.
Guys, if you're enjoying this analysis and if you think other people would enjoy it as well, then the way that you can help is to hit that like button. And also, if you like this content and if you get value from the channel, then please don't hesitate to subscribe and join the community. Back to the clips.
In HBCUs? Is that what you're
Certain
talking
campuses.
about? Are you talking about HBCUs?
So, but let me just ask a more broad philosophical question. Why does skin color matter at all? Why should we care about it?
Because of the society we live in. Because of the society
no.
we
You're
live in.
dismissing anything that has ever happened to someone of color
Let me ask
by
you a
saying
question.
that.
What can you do, or what can I do that you can't do? What law? Affirmative action is lowering of test standards and quota for a quota. No, it's not. It's the way it works.
That is how it works.
Yeah, it's the way it works. I'm not going to entertain fallacies. Tell me why.
Just let him
Why?
talk. We have to hear your
It's
fallacy.
fine. It's fine.
Why
It's
does
fine.
skin color matter?
I believe skin color matters because of the society we are in. And I guess it goes into critical race theory.
Yes,
but
it is.
Because of the society we have lived in, race is a factor. If from the beginning of time race wasn't a factor and there was never anybody who was oppressed because of their race, I feel like it would not play a part in anything that we do. But because literally less...
Charlie,
They were interrupting you.
Do you believe on black crime?
Do I believe in black on black crime?
Yeah.
It's abundant.
Explain, please.
Yeah, it's the #1 cause of death in many black communities. I'm just being honest.
He is right.
Okay. Now,
So back to our previous argument that was interrupted. So in the sense of what, like I was saying, you don't believe like because of the history and because races have been oppressed, you don't believe like race plays a part in things, and you don't believe like.
No, that's not true. No. So, do you know who Thomas Sowell is? You know who Thomas Sowell is?
No.
I really encourage you to look. Thomas Sowell's great. He's one of the best black economists of the 20th century. Grew up in Harlem, and he's done the best research in the 1940s, 1950s, and 60s black community. And essentially, his argument is that black America was experiencing a renaissance in the 50s and 60s, despite discrimination. Yes. Now, the one part that I would agree with,
But however, it's not the black community as a whole, it's Harlem black community.
Chicago too, but let's pretend you're right, okay? The one argument that I would agree with, and I'm against systemic racism arguments, the one that I would say, you know what, there was something very wrong is when Democrat Lyndon Baines Johnson came in and destroyed the black nuclear family. If there was one part where I could say, you know what, that was unjust and that has to be undone, it's when Lyndon Baines Johnson went in to the Great Society program with the intent to destroy the black nuclear family.
Okay. So in that sense, do you believe the war on drugs also played a part? Or do
Not
you not
really.
believe in the war on drugs?
Well, look, I mean, I believe we should be very harsh on drugs, but I think I would give some merit to the argument of some government agencies peddling cocaine in the inner cities. There is evidence to show that. I'm not going to debate it.
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely evidence to show that government agencies of the CIA were peddling crack cocaine in the inner cities. And if you want to know more, look at the story of Gary Webb and Freeway Ricky Ross. Watch the movie Kill the Messenger. Fascinating stuff. But that aside, the mind virus is on display in so many ways here. So let me go through a few examples. The I am a black woman, you couldn't possibly know my truth, shut up white man, yada, yada, yada.
I'm a black woman in a white society.
The insufferable, self-flagellating white liberal girl, pathetically trying so hard to be an ally to the people of color by overtly and desperately demonstrating her fervent rejection of the notion that white people can also experience discrimination.
Poor white people.
You have entire.
Even when the black girl next to her actually agreed with Charlie.
So, like, okay, you're right.
The brattish, entitled soy boy victim that forgot to take his mum's earrings off this morning. That did not once stop to listen to what Charlie was saying, but was rather so self-obsessed that he had to just interrupt and yell, insult and stick his finger up, and like the baby he is, when he didn't get the attention that he thought he deserved, he just starts playing on his phone.
I'm not going to entertain fallacies.
And then not to mention the one who comes in wearing a mask in the year 2023. Better watch out for all that fresh air, hey? It's coming to get ya. And now let's watch the last part, and an interesting part actually, where Charlie seems to get through to this young lady a little bit more. And I think plants a few seeds in her head, particularly about Malcolm X, whose shirt she is wearing.
Do I think it has the, so for example, like there's one number that I'm fascinated with, right? Single motherhood in the black community was about 28% in 1945, okay? Now it's around 65 to 70%. Why? Are we more racist than we were in 1945?
No.
Okay, so then what happened?
The war on drugs.
Okay,
the
fair
war
enough.
on drugs. The demolishing the nuclear family in a sense.
Right,
And
we
I
agree.
believe due to the history that's happened, racism is still very prevalent in a lot of the a lot of the systems that are in America, correct?
Yeah, so no, of course not. But I was actually caught by your shirt. You know Malcolm X was super pro-life.
Yes.
I think Malcolm X could teach a lot of the black movement something, because more so than Martin Luther King, because Malcolm X, I'm getting there. Malcolm X, some people don't describe him correctly as being violent, right? That was a very small part of his literature. He was very big on trying to get black America to succeed despite the white liberals.
Yes.
And
Not the white liberal.
He did say white liberal. Oh, you go look up the Malcolm X white liberal quote. And so I think that's interesting. Just think about it. Go look up Malcolm X warned against white liberals owning black America for their own gain, which is exactly what BLM is.
Okay, so back to my initial point. Back to my initial point. You don't believe that my truth can be different than yours, specifically based on race.
Experiences can be different, but there is always a truth. I'll give you an example. We all might have 5 different opinions of a car crash, right? But eventually a truth will be revealed of what really happened. Does that make sense?
So you believe that your truth is the truth that you have found yourself is the ultimate truth.
I would hope so, yeah. And I'm willing to learn. Otherwise, I think Malcolm X could teach us a lot right now.
The fact that she said she doesn't know who Thomas Sowell is tells you everything you need to know about that. Thomas Sowell is someone that definitely should be mandatory reading. But in saying that, I guess if you are trying to force feed people their oppression, then you can't have Thomas Sowell coming along and completely and utterly eviscerating that worldview. I mean, facts can be pretty convincing sometimes, so you might actually turn a few of them into conservatives, God forbid. And you definitely wouldn't want to teach them any more about Malcolm X's conservative worldviews, because man, there's a lot more than what Charlie mentioned there. And if she knew the extent of it, she might have to go get herself like a George Floyd t-shirt or something. So with that, guys, be sure to hit those links below. Come find me on socials, and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you want to watch another video, click right here. Until next time, I'm Jake. This is RattlesnakeTV, keeping you armed and dangerous.